Hi Richie, how are you?
I'm terrible. Like it says. No, other than that,
You don't look so.
I'm doing well. Well, terrible on the inside, but in a good way. Yeah, it's fine. I arrived in Warsaw today, so Poland is one of my favorite countries because of the people, of course. And yeah, so
What's the reason of your trip to Poland now?
this is some sort of vacation at the moment because we can't really do vacation, and sometimes I travel with friends, and then we started making plans for Thailand, and Thailand became Mallorca, and then Mallorca became Poland. So this is what you can do by by car, and yeah. But I said when I'm here, I can also visit some friends and see something, and then we'll also shoot a video with my great camera man and good friend Krzysztof Gajewski. And we did many videos in the past already, and he said, well, when you're in Warsaw, then let's do something, let's work on a project, and so we're doing that too.
Constructive vacation.
Yes, yeah, too, but still, I have time to smell the flowers as well, which in this case is probably some vodka or look at some pierogi or something. We'll see. I love many things about Poland, so that's a good thing. I thought I might be able to go to some reggae party, but of course nothing is in the clubs right now, and it's like in Germany, we can't really have shows and parties in clubs, but okay, we'll see what is possible and then enjoy
You
it.
just released your next album called The Remedy, and this is the main reason of our meeting, and this is also our background music for Strefa Dread. But first, I would like to start, as it's our first interview, I would like to get some knowledge on your very early days. And I've noticed that you called yourself once Richie Senior, but you don't call yourself anymore like this.
Yes and no. Yeah, that's right. The funny thing was, at my school in Munster, my hometown in Germany, there was some sort of a festival, and they asked me to do the presentation of it. And as a joke, they put, because Richie was always my name, is Rysiek in Polish, so Richie. And there was a radio show by somebody, and he called himself Professor Bob. And he presented at a radio show. And now they have a presenter and they have me, so they wrote Professor Richie. And then when I joined the band at Warsaw, I said, okay, I call myself Professor Richie, but I say it would be funny because so many people use a name, a stage name, and then call themselves so-and-so Junior. And I say, I will be the first one to call myself so-and-so Senior, Professor Richie Senior, so later a junior can come and take the name. So that was some sort of funny thought experiment and idea, exactly. So, and then from Professor Richie Senior, I just went to Richie Senior, and this is why the band, the Senior All-Stars, was called the Senior All-Stars. That was the first show we did under the name of the Senior All-Stars, and only at the end of that show I started to call myself Dr. Ringding. But yeah, right, I don't call myself that anymore, only if I play with El Bosso di Ping Pongs. The band is still around, we don't play a lot, but sometimes we do, and then at that point, when I'm introduced, I'm Professor Richie Senior. So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I haven't thought about it in a long time.
Your first band was started in '87, but I've heard before your experience in music was playing brass in a church and singing in the church. Could you tell us something more about it?
Oh yeah. The thing is, in Germany, when you start to play an instrument, usually at the age of 6 or 7, you start with a recorder. That's this flute, and that's where I started. But I was lazy. I didn't like it, and my parents asked me then, when I said I don't want to play the flute anymore, I was 10 or something. They say, okay, then pick something different. They never said you can stop. They always said, okay, if you stop this, you must do something different instead. And I think that's really good from my parents. So I said, okay, then I want to play the trumpet. And they say, okay, good, and you need lessons. And then they looked around, and I grew up in a Protestant church, and there we have the tradition of brass. We call them trombone choir, Posaunenchor. So that's like a brass orchestra or brass ensemble with trombones and trumpets. And well, there you would get an instrument and also get some lessons and start to learn playing the instrument. And yeah, that's what I did. So I had a trumpet for half a year, and then I changed to a tenor horn. It's like a euphonium, something like this. And then after half a year, the trombone, and I stayed with the trombone. So
And you played some gospel though?
not gospel. No, it was more like the church hymns and that. Like you would have 4-piece harmony arrangements of these things. And then we always sang in the family anyway. But then I joined also professional choirs. And there we did great stuff like Bach, the Christmas oratorio, and I sang bass voice in there. And that was really good, like Baroque music, but also romantic. And
How old were you?
when I started in the choir, I was about 18, I think 18 or 19. My brother was in there already. He was 1 year older. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. And we did nice things, also with real orchestra, and then in big churches, and did a whole big concerts and all that. Also in the churches and like for certain occasions, things. Yeah, I really like that because I like classical music too. But I'm like, for the trombone, I'm not gifted enough or maybe too lazy to be good at classical music. So in the stuff that I do, I think I'm happy with what I can do. But if I had to play in a real orchestra or something, I wouldn't be able to do that. Not with what I know now.
Still back in the time in Munster, I have heard that Munster at that time was some kind of distribution of Jamaican music or music like ska and reggae in Germany, and that it was also a place where you've seen Desmond Decker's show, which really turned you to make this music.
Yeah, well, that's really two different things. There was one shop, it still exists, that did all the import of reggae music from Jamaica, from England, from the United States, and it was called Irie Records. And I would go there a lot and get my ska albums, and then after ska I discovered reggae and dancehall and all that, so I left a lot of money there. And that was good because that was really the spot where you could get everything, and they also did the distribution for all the other shops in Germany. So that was, he was the first one to do that. So that was really important. And then there was some sort of a club, a disco, a concert hall, small, in Munster too, called the Odeon, and there I saw different bands, but also Desmond Decker. And some friends in the band, I was already a part of El Bosso and the Ping Pongs at that time, and they said, oh, Desmond Decker is coming. I said, wow, great, I got to go there. And I went there, and it was, for me, I saw this show and I said, okay, now I'm a ska fan, now I'm a reggae fan. This is, for me, it was so important. I was 17, I think. And much later, I worked for the same agency that also did the booking for Desmond Decker and his band. And so I was on tour with them a lot, like as their tour manager and something. So I could talk to the people one-to-one, and that was really good. So I get more experience from that. But really, that was initially that show I saw, and then I said, okay, now I'm a fan. And then there was one festival a little later in Berlin from, I think it was Pork Pie Records who organized that. So there were 5 bands, I think. It was Blechreiz and Spy Club and No Sports, and then the Toasters from the United States. And we played with El Bosso and Ping Pongs in one of the first positions. And that was the second thing for me, where I said, okay, now I'm really a ska fan, and I started buying the ska t-shirts and walk around with braces and Dr. Martin shoes, and I had this haircut that you still can see on the first album of El Bosso and the Ping Pongs. I had this flat top. Now I'm totally bald, been for 30 years now. 25 years shaving.
There's a song, Shaving
free, yeah, on the new album. Yeah, there's I started shaving, but now nature has done her part also to make me a bald head. So yeah.
80s, end of 80s, 90s was a really boom of ska music in Germany.
Yeah.
Mostly the third wave of ska, really fast, quick bands. And I think it was, at least we in Poland were considered it one of the strongest ska scene in Europe. Many bands were coming from Germany. There were many releases of Pork Pie. How does it look nowadays? And if, in your opinion as well, it was so strong back in the time, why, comparing to other European countries? Why in Germany?
For the last question, I don't know why. I can't really tell. Maybe you have the impression because you're closer to Germany than to Portugal, maybe. But yeah, I saw that there was a big movement in Germany for the scene. Of course, England had their scene always, but I think England has always been
at sight.
Yeah. And I heard about a few bands, like reggae bands or ska bands from other countries. Like there was one compilation from France with 10 bands on it or something, but I never heard anything about Italy or Spain or... So I don't really know. Well, in England, it's always been a part of the pop culture, really, and I would say nowadays the scene is pretty strong in Spain. I would say, and especially Catalonia, the Catalan part of Spain is very well known for a lot of ska bands, important ska bands. Of course, now you find bands everywhere. I don't know if the scene in Germany is particularly strong. After the big movement, like the third wave ska thing, I think everything went to different genres, and then some like to play the 60s ska more, and some the two-tone, and others mixed it with punk and ska and rock music, and so now you have a big variety, but all over the world really. So there are bands from Italy and from Poland. When I'm on tour in Poland, I always see bands from here, and there was the Ska Jamboree festival I went to in Gdańsk. Yeah, and then bands like Vespa and the Bartenders and these bands that they're coming. Ziggy Piggy I saw on a different festival. So yeah, there are quite a few that we know of, but I couldn't say why it seems that Germany was so strong. Maybe it's people thought it was cool at that time, and then they saw a band, and then they made their own band, and then they picked ska as the genre to do it. But there were 5 big bands: No Sports, the Busters, Skaos, the Butlers, and El Bossoni Ping Pongs. I would say they were the 5 big ones, and from there a lot of other bands emerged.
You mentioned Poland and Polish artists. You've been coming to Poland for many years for different reasons, musical reasons. I'm wondering what's your best memory from Poland, if there is anything which just stayed
music
deeply,
related.
Yeah, like music related, any part of the show or some situation, not girlfriends, any musical situation, any part of the show or something. I was just reviewing some information today about it, and it shows me a picture from your famous sound system of Tisztelet when Shaggy came over.
Oh, that was
for instance,
in Płock. That was in Płock.
I'm wondering if it's this or if
that was
a particular moment you will always remember.
Well, that definitely was something special. Shaggy had played the big stage, like for thousands of people, and it was a very American show. I think it wasn't really for reggae people, but it was more like an entertainment show as an American top-selling R&B artist. Yeah. So it wasn't really, I think, what people expected at a reggae festival. And then with Tisztelet sound from Warsaw, Lucek, we played in a tent after that show, and all of a sudden Lucek comes to me and says, "Look, is it okay if somebody else comes and does maybe 10 minutes?" I'm like, "Who is it?" "Yeah, well, the guy from before." So, "What?" "Yeah, Shaggy and Raven." I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So they came and they had like their 5 security guys also there. And so yeah, Shaggy and Raven and myself, we used the rhythms that I had, and we did, I think, 40 minutes or something, and kept going. And then Shaggy going, and to me, and Raven was singing. That was a great experience. Ports Reggaeland. Yeah, that was 8 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
8 years.
2012.
And yeah, the big reggae festival in Ostruda, I must say. Maybe you're
The
involved with it a
bartenders.
bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a sound system show first in a sound system tent, and the year later, or 2 years later, I came with
the bartenders.
yeah, with the bartenders, and we did a live show, and there we could do more different style style music. We could do ska and some calypso and some reggae and dancehall, and yeah, these were really good because I always liked the ambience and the mood and the vibes of the Polish crowds, really. Sometimes it's a bit strange, like when you come to some countries where they don't really speak the language, or like, well, English is not my first language either, but that's a way to communicate. When I'm in France, I speak French, and when I'm in German speaking countries, I speak German, of course, but other than that, I speak English, and then I use some phrases from the country where I am. So it could be in Kenya or in Colombia or whatever, then I would use the language, some phrases, but other than that I have to communicate in English. And sometimes it's easy and sometimes not so much. And yeah, some crowds are more like party crowds and some are a bit more reserved. And Poland I've always enjoyed because I always saw like, okay, people enjoy the music, and I always felt there was a connection, but that's probably because the first time I came to Poland, you know how old I was?
No.
I was 5 years old.
Really?
Yeah, and that's because my family went to visit the place where my father was born.
Mm-hmm.
And
When was
that's
this?
in Szczecin, in Pomerania.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was 5, and my mother started to learn Polish before the trip, so she spoke Polish already when we got there. She's from France, so like everything's very multicultural. And at that time, of course, Szczecin was German, Stettin, and it became Poland later. So we went there, and very nice experience. I still have experiences from that vacation. Like we were on an old farmhouse, and you know, I would. We in the evening we got the cows from the meadows, and I could hold one cow, like 5-year-old little Rishu, holding the cow and proud as. And yeah, I got the krówki, the sweets and candies and all that. So we had. I learned my first Polish words there. Łyżka wazowa was one word I learned because my mother was looking for one. Anyway, so I had good remembrances, and then we had friends coming to our place also, like in the times of Solidarność. And all that, we had people, and my parents organized also transports for food and clothes for Poland, and they went to Poland because my mother spoke French, and so that was really helpful. And we had friends from Poland come over, so I was always somehow connected to the culture, and my mother would cook Polish cuisine also and things. So years and years and years later, I came to Poland to do my first shows again. It was like okay, I already have friends here. It's not like we are total strangers, but I got into the scene and into the community, and you know, I could speak a little more than Łyżka wazowa, but I could say polskie piwo smakuje bardzo dobrze and stuff like that. People liked it, and that animated me to do a little more. Then yeah, I came more often.
This story shows it's much more than only Polish vodka love.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing with the song Polish Vodka is, of course, I'm not there to promote alcohol. Like I don't think that alcohol per se is a good thing, or consumption of alcohol. But I mean, the fact that the best vodka in the world is from Poland is enough to use that as the topic to say I love Poland. I love to be in Poland. And I do it by saying, well, the vodka is the best, and this is why. You know, I love to be here, and you got nice vodka, so let's celebrate together, because that's how you celebrate. I mean, other countries have other good stuff too, but this is, that's my way of saying I love you people. So I'm using the vodka to do that. And if we drink more, we love each other more also.
It's countless history of all the things you were involved in, different projects and different side projects, the guest appearances. It's countless, and I'm not going to mention all this, but I've noticed you work with some ska band from Korea, and as it's quite exotic for me, I would like to ask you about some details. How did you get to them, and were you going to Korea to perform with them, or what was the connection?
Well, first of all, the ska scene is connected in the world. I think more than the reggae scene, because a ska fan will know bands from Brazil and from New Zealand and from Lithuania, because somehow one is interested, and so you look around a bit like what exists. And once, I was writing reviews for ska albums for a German rhythm magazine, the reggae magazine from Germany at that time. So I already listened to some different stuff. And then some trumpet player from Holland gave me a CD of Kingston Rudy Ska, this band from Korea. He said, yeah, I'm in Korea sometimes, and they gave me this, and maybe you're interested in listening. And I listened, and I thought it was really, really good. And I wrote a nice review about it. And then there was some contact with some journalist who lives in Seoul in Korea, but he's from Canada. And so we got in touch, and he said, yeah, anytime, like if you like to come or whatnot. So, and then I didn't hear a lot from them, but then I got an email where they asked if I would be interested to play with my band Dr. Ring Extravaganza at a big world music festival in Jisan. I think it was called Jisan World Rock Festival or something, like Jamiroquai was there, and then but bands from all over, from Asia, from Europe, and not so many from Europe, but yeah, some American bands and Asian bands. And they said, yeah, sure, of course, we come with a band, and so we made arrangements, and we got there, and we played, and we got friendly with the band, because it was the band Kingston Rudy Ska who had invited us, who also played at the festival. So yeah, we got friendly, and then we made plans. Yeah, well, if you're here, why not record a few songs together? And that's what we did. So some of my band went shopping in Seoul, and I was in the studio with his band, Kingston Rudy Ska. We worked on some stuff, and I finished mixing the album in Germany, and when it was finished, we put it out at some point, and then I came back to Korea, and we did some shows and presentations on the radio for this, for the mini album. It's called Ska and Seoul. Ska in Seoul, like the capital of Korea, South Korea. And so I played that twice. This is how it came about, and this is Korean. It says,
really?
I don't know if you can see this on the camera, maybe. It says Dr. Ringding. Dr. Ringdingo. And it's Korean, and it's the stamp they use for if they sign legal documents. You have a stamp, a seal that you have, and it's registered, and so you use that for your signature. So somebody, like one of the trumpet players, made this for me the first time, and then I got it, and then the second time I came there, and they said,
Korea is deep.
So I got my Korean thing. Yeah, so we're in contact, and I like their stuff. Of course, we follow each other on Facebook and other social media, and then we see if somebody's like if the band they played in Mexico at some point, and they say, okay, we got mutual friends there again, and and some of the band members they play in different bands. Like the saxophone player, he also sings and plays the flute, Nok Wang Sung, and he's a great guy. And it's nice to see what's happening. So
let's jump to now and your new album, The Remedy. I was observing you when lockdown started, and I've noticed you were first very engaged into commenting the situation and doing song like Stay at Home. when you made this Calypso Isolation, but then it looks like you moved to the studio and you decided to make the whole album. So I'm wondering if the remedy was really a remedy for you, like a creative process for this pandemic time.
No, not really. No, because the idea for the album was already there last year.
Before.
And we started recording things in, I think, late November or early December already, the first 6 songs or something, and then the next ones later in March, before the lockdown. And
so you did not have a problem with meeting up with the musicians?
No, not then, only to make videos, then we couldn't do that. So we made some tricks, like I filmed with a black screen and a green screen, and we had other people, and then again Krzysztof Gajewski, my favorite filmmaker, he did that video of the song Boss Reggae Part, and he used footage that he had so that we could do something. But all the stuff, we recorded most of the stuff before the lockdown thing, but I didn't know if I wanted to put it out myself, the album, or work with another label, partner label, and I decided to do that, and then we decided on some point in time where we could release it. But actually it was already more or less finished. The recordings were finished already by March. But when the pandemic came, then I decided to do this song Stay at Home. And this was a cooperation with a musician from Barcelona, Bongo Roll, and he made the rhythm. Like, we called each other on the phone, and then he said, I have this idea and a rhythm. You like bass line could go like this. I sing the bass line to him, and send him some chords, and he prepares something at home, sends me the track. I record my vocals, send it back, he fixes his rhythm and mixes everything, and then the videos also, it's him at home, he filmed himself at home, and I filmed myself at home. And then somebody in Munster, I sent him the footage and he cut it together. So it was, that was really done during the time where we really stayed at home. And it's called Stay at Home. And this is a quote from...
Gregory Isaac.
No.
Dennis Brown?
Dennis Brown,
Dennis Brown.
Runaway Girl,
Yeah.
Dennis Brown. And the remedy, I mean, it fits now. That is, there's a pandemic and we come with a remedy, but the song was written before we even know about COVID. So that was funny. And the thing is...
Just fit the time.
Because I had this, there's a rum, spiced rum called The Remedy.
And this is why the bottle is on the cover.
Yes and no. But I thought, that's cool, and then I had the idea of, it could do remedy, like, how does, like, remedy is already, and pass me the remedy, made me think of all these tunes from Admiral Bailey and Chakadim, it's like this style. I said, I must do something in that style, give me the remedy, like stuff. So I was working around, and then I said, nice song, would be maybe nice to have somebody else sing with me. And then I thought of all the old combination style that you had in the 90s, Shabba Ranks with Lady G and
famous duos.
You name it, right? So many. I asked Sister Gracie. She lives in Germany, and we've been friends for many, like 20 years or so, and been on recordings together. I called her, said, would you be interested in? Yeah, of course. So we did that, and we worked with that a bit, and then I came there to visit. I brought a bottle of rum and from Barbados, and then we worked on the song, and she recorded her lyrics, and I recorded mine, and so.
Apart from this excellent The Remedy songs, there are many more, of course, because it feels like a giant work. 17 tracks, many guests.
14 really,
plus three versions, language versions. Yeah. It's also quite interesting idea to put different language versions. But you've got also many other guests on the album, mentioning, for instance, Tipa Airi, who made this Unity track. Which seems to somehow lead with the message of the album.
For me it's important to have this for me, it's always been important to have a message of unity and of understanding. And actually, in this song, you have we no matter gender, color, age, or nationality. So if you're a human being and we can get along, it's fine. And then I don't care if you're a Muslim or atheist or whatever. If you respect me, I can respect you, you know. And if you're from, don't know, if you're from South Africa or from Norway, like, what does it matter? If we understand each other and we can make music together. So that's a wonderful thing to do it. And yeah, of course, singing in different languages is one thing. Then, I mean, already the concept of a guy who's half French, half German, taking music from the Caribbean and playing it with musicians over here, and then inviting friends from Switzerland and the United States and Jamaica and England. This all shows already that the whole spirit is understanding. You know, love, understanding is important, and to be tolerant. Of course, not tolerant with people who are not intolerant. That's the big paradox. Don't be tolerant with intolerance, but for that it's like, okay, live and let live and be together, and music is the possibility to come together. And we as musical as artists, as musicians, we have the possibility but also the responsibility to bring people together. That's what we do. We give people a good time, and then I'm singing, but not for people from this town. Like, wouldn't make sense, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't do this, why wouldn't you sing for people from a different country, or I don't know, like whatever they enjoy, or you know.
What did you mean singing in a song fun? Things you can and you cannot say. Vision, Gypsy, Jewish and Gay.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually many things that come together there. This is all about people who say you can't make jokes about this or jokes about that, or sometimes that you can't even
political correctness.
Political correctness, exactly. Like, you know, I say something and then people take one sentence and turn it around 3 times, make their own interpretation, and then they say, this is bad, you can't do it. I say, yeah, I can do it. You know, it's like, if you know what I mean, what I'm saying, then I can also be trying to have some fun without having to care about not hurting everybody's feeling or somebody's feelings, which is fine, I think. And some people are triggered by one word already. So this is why I said vegan, gypsy, Jewish, gay. This is stuff where when you say Jewish, are you against Jews? No, yeah. I'm not. Like, and people who know me know that I'm not. And I have Jewish friends. I even have a Star of David on my arm here. It's like to see my. There's nothing religious and nothing political. It's only to show that I'm part of a community, and I have Jewish friends in my community, and I'm a part of it, and they're a part of it. So and then Gypsy Jewish Gay. There's a band from Berlin called Rotfront Immigranti Ragamuffin.
I have this T-shirt.
And you have the T-shirt, and they
not now, but I have red one.
And the red one. And they have this T-shirt, Gypsy Jewish and Gay, which is inspired by Young, Gifted and Black. The song Young, Gifted and Black. Yeah. And
Griffiths and Bob Andy.
Bob Andy, yes. And so Gypsy, Jewish and Gay. They say, okay. And then everybody wears this shirt. They like the band, but many of them are not Jewish, are not gay, and are not gypsy. But you know, you put it on and people see it, and that means, okay, now this is a part of the community.
This is the case.
And then to make it rhyme better, and for the phrasing, I put in another word, vegan. I say, okay, if somebody says I'm vegan, then you get all discussions on Facebook again, or what I know. Like, these are words that trigger people. So this is what I meant with this phrase. And I say, look, I'm trying to have fun. You should have fun. And when I say something that triggers you, and it's just a word, then maybe think why it triggers you. But don't say that I cannot talk about it. Also, because I will not talk bad about people who just
Well,
because
they
they are
all
part
think,
of a certain community or whatever. I mean, if they're fascist Nazis or so, I will talk badly about them, of course, because again, this is the thing. If they're not tolerant, then I cannot tolerate that. But other than that, like if you enjoy salsa music, why would I say I don't talk to you? You like salsa, I like salsa too, but if you like techno and I don't like it, then we can still talk and have fun. And you know, it's in life is not only one music style.
My last question is.
The last already?
Yeah,
Oh.
we are losing light.
Okay.
Yeah. Which word triggers you the most?
Oh, we can try some. We'll find out. Which word triggers me the most? I think if it's something like really racist or fascist, and if the motivation behind it is not trying to be funny or something, funny in a witty way, I mean, but if it's really meant to hurt, then there is some stuff probably that would trigger me. Where I say, you know, I'm not saying like stereotypes. If you say all Polish people are like this, or all French people are like this, or you make jokes like Polish guy comes into a bar and blah blah blah. We all know these are stereotypes, and they are meant. You're not trying to discredit this one person from Poland is like the person in the joke, right? So we're not talking about this. No, but if you see it's stupid and vulgar and just disrespectful, maybe that. But you know, a lot of stuff, like sometimes people try to insult me and they say your mother so and so. It's like
your mother was French
or whatever. Yeah, it's like I heard somebody say, you know what? I'm German. If you want to insult me, you must use something different. It's like, you know, in some cultures it's really bad. You know, if you're in Italy and you say something bad about the mother, they will, or many of them. But for me, it's words and
doesn't matter.
It's like, and the older you get, or the older I get, the quieter I become, and the less likely I'm triggered by stuff. But don't use it as a challenge now and try things with me the next time. I mean, you could, but you know, if somebody says, yeah, you're fat, you say, okay, I'm fat. Yeah, my first song that I put out as Dr. Ring was Big Man. So it's already my first song. I told them I'm fat.
Joke of yourself. Yeah.
So no, but why would you use it as an insult when the first song I released was about me being fat? Like, how was it? Yeah, stuff like that. It's stupid.
A special message for the Polish fans.
Yeah, wszystkie ryśki to żadne chłopy.
Thank you. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, to mamy to. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Dziękuję bardzo.